Hello guys, I hope after the mentorship session, you guys are more comfortable with HTML, CSS and Bootstrap. But let's now start building our own homepage. So our Bootstrap code is done. Now we can build our own homepage. I'll show you how the homepage would look like. Yeah, this is how our homepage would look. And we'll be able to make this in less than 100 lines of code. So let's get directly to making this. First of all, we'll take this code and remove the parts we do not need. Also, change the position of the screen and open the Chrome tab on the top. Just a second. It's really handful if you have two screens for doing this task, but as I can only share my screen um, one screen, that's why I'm keeping this in just one tab. Yeah, that's nice. So now let's refresh this. Yeah, everything is gone. Let's start coding. So first, what I'll do is we'll import the libraries. So we have already have the Bootstrap min CSS library and the JS library. What we want is we want a jQuery library. You don't need to be concerned about what jQuery is right now, but it's actually required by Bootstrap that you should import jQuery first. So we'll import jQuery for Bootstrap. And next, we'll also import Popper, which too is a requirement of Bootstrap. We are not going to use them individually. Bootstrap is using them behind the scenes. Let's reload it. Nothing happens because we have just imported this. Let's change the title to our own home. Or better, we can just write your own expression. Yeah, here it's your own name right now. Now, usually you might have seen, like for WhatsApp or Facebook or Gmail, you see the icon belonging to Gmail, WhatsApp, and Facebook. So we'll also like to set our own image here. For that, first of all, we need to choose an image. I have my GitHub repository open here. What I'll do is I'll copy these folders to the current folder in which we have our realtime.html. Yeah, so I've added these to the folder. Now, to use these images, I'll need to give the relative path of the code. First of all, to set the shortcut icon, you'll have to use this syntax. It's also a link. So link can be used to even import images as an icon. Next, we don't have it in our static, but we have it inside our images. So inside images, I have my profile circular favy.png. Let's see. Yeah, so it's working right now. You can see the inside images directory. I have a profile circular favy.png. It's a really small image because I don't want the website to be heavy. So I have kept a very small image. And for this, I have kept a very large image, which we'll be using later on. So Next, now we have the image in the title bar. Next, I would also import the CSS library, which contains some icons. We'll be making use of them later on. The name of the library is Font Awesome, and the version is 4.7. Let's import that right now. Next, I'll just copy paste some code. Yeah. So as I've explained earlier, this viewport says the browser how to behave when viewed on a mobile phone. When it's being viewed on a personal computer, then it's completely ignored. Next, the description of the website. So I've said we can set whatever description you want. And you can set the author as your name. These are just optional meta tags which will help an SEO if you want your website to be good on the let's say Google or on the search engines, then having a description and author would help you out. You can even add keywords inside the meta, like machine learning, artificial intelligence, coding, etc. And one more thing, sometimes you share a URL of, let's say, Quora on WhatsApp. Then you can see the Quora image and some content being displayed there. To show that for your website, you need to add the OG title, OG image, and OG description property. Now, if you add them and you share the link in WhatsApp, you'll be able to see the images and the content you have presented over here. So we will set this to our favicon. And that's it. We have already set the title. That's it, what's gonna be in the head. So I'll repeat it once more. First, we have the title. I'll just keep my name right now. That's it. We have imported Bootstrap CSS, their jQuery, and Popper min.js, which help Bootstrap JS. Also, we have imported Font Awesome library, from which we'll be using some icons later on. To set the shortcut icon on the tab, we have used the link and with the rel of shortcut icon. To set to say the browser on how to behave in a mobile view, we have set the viewport to this. Then we have the description, the author name, and some keywords on how it should look on WhatsApp or when you share it on a social media. We have set the OG title, OG image, and the OG description. So let's start building our body. So nothing could be seen here right now because whatever is seen here should be inside the body, and our body is completely empty right now. Let's start building it. First of all, if you remember this website, you can see that the background has a blackish color till some pixels, and after that it's a whitish color. It's not exactly white and black, so that's why I'm saying it's a blackish or a whitish color. You can see whatever be the height of the screen, the height of the black portion remains the same. So we want to fix the height of this background color. What we'll do is this entire blank space is the body, right? We'll add a custom CSS to it. We'll first create a style tag where we'll add our CSS. Then we'll just apply some CSS characteristics to the body. As there is only one body in an HTML document, we can just define the CSS property in the body itself. First, we'll set the background. Now the background color should be black or blackish for 350 pixels, and after that it should be whitish. So how do we set that using background? Actually, I haven't yet talked about it, but you can use linear gradient. Frankly, I also did not know about this. What I did was I Googled how to set your background with a linear gradient. And there I found this code, I read about it, and then I copied it. That's how you'll have to learn about new things also. So now, first, in the linear gradient, you have to set the direction where the gradient is going. It's assumed that it starts from the top. So we want it to go to the bottom, to bottom. And here first I'll write the code and then later on explain it to you. Bottom, a blackish color from 0%. The blackish color should be there till 350 pixels. And a whitish color from 350 pixels to the end, 100%. Yeah, so what this means is by default from the top it starts, it goes to the bottom, the gradient. Next, the starting color at 0% is 3333. If you are familiar with hex codes, you must be knowing this is a nearly a dark color. 00000 would have been completely black, and FFFFFF would have been completely white. So this is a number in the middle, and that's why it's a bit blackish. Now from 0 to 350px, we have the black color, and then from 350px to 100%, we have a white color, nearly whitish color. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, so that's how the background looks. Now we have set the background. One more thing, it's my personal preference. I would like to set the font family to Georgia Garden and the font size to 14px. It's just a personal preference. If you don't want it, then you can remove it and keep the default. Okay. So we have the background ready. I feel it's a bit closer. Now we can start building this. You might have already guessed, this looks a bit like a Bootstrap container. So I'll explain you how it's a Bootstrap container. There is a container here. I have the first row in which I have this content. Next, in another row, I have the cards. And in another row, I have another card. And there are two columns. In this column, I have my information and contact information. That is how I have made this Bootstrap grid. When I'll be coding it, you'll get more idea about how exactly the website has been made. So let's start. So first of all, I'll make a container. You can see there is a bit of a margin from the top and the starting of the container. So I'll keep a margin of top of 5. Next, we'll have a row inside it. And a column. Now, we can see that the column is not exactly taking all the 12 imaginary columns. It's just taking 8 columns. So we will set our column to LG 8. You can see the column is large and takes 8 columns. Large means that the breakout point would be from large screens. So if I keep on decreasing this, you'll see at some point it is shrunk, but then it should go down. Yeah, so it went down. So this happens on a breakpoint which is large. That's why I call LG 8. Then inside the column will put our text. Now, we'll also want below the text, we want to put this text, but we'll also below, we'll want to have many rows. So we'll put this text inside a row with a margin bottom of, let's say, 3. Inside a row, there always must be a column. So I'll add a basic call. Otherwise, the text center property does not work. Then inside it, I'll add a H3 tag, so a middle heading tag. I want the text to be white because it's on a black background. So I'll set the class as text white. And inside that, let's say I am putting my name. Let's refresh it. And yeah, you can see that my name has been displayed. I like this font. If you did not put this font, and this is how it would look. So next, we have the name here. What should we build next? Let's build this nav bar. You can see some interesting properties of this nav bar. First of all, as I'm on the home page, the home button is highlighted. All others are grayed out. Moreover, whenever I hover over the home button, the text color changes. Simultaneously, the background color also changes to pitch black. These all are handled by CSS. Let's see how we can do it. First of all, I should close this door. I haven't even closed this door. You should always keep the indentation so that you have an idea wherever the div is not closed. If you even miss one div tag, then it can cause a lot of problem when your code gets larger and larger. So next, let's build our own navigation bar. So inside the call LG8, we'll want another row for this nav bar. Cool. Now inside the row, let's put a margin top of 3, also a margin bottom of 4, and we want all the text to be centered inside this. So I'll center align all the text inside this row. Next, what I want is to have a call, but you can notice that if I keep on shrinking this, at a very large breakout point, all the columns here come down. This is because I have set the breakpoint as LG. Because if the text gets shrunk even a bit more, this publication would merge with project and it would not look nice. That's why I should use a call Excel and 6. You all might be wondering, why am I using 6? Why not 2? Because there are 12 columns. Inside the 8 columns, I have 12 more columns. So I should be using 2 for each. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to first divide it into 6 columns, and then inside that, I'm going to divide all of them into 3 equal parts. This will ensure that if this breakout point is reached, 3 of them are in the same row. Otherwise, all of them would have come below each other, and this would have taken a lot of space. I'll add a row to it. Inside the row, I'll just add a plain column. And inside the column, I want to put the home. So I'll write home. Let's just make 3 columns. Home, So fine. Let's see how it looks. Okay, so it's not looking nice. We have the text, but it's first in the black color. Moreover, the font is also smaller, I guess. Let's have a look. Yeah, the font is definitely smaller. Also, the color and the hover, those are not present because we have to yet define our own class to apply over this home. Also, one more thing, these should act as links. If I click on the profile button, it should move me to a new page. If I click back on the home, I should get back to the home page. So if you remember, for setting a link, we have the A tag. So all of them should go inside the A tag. Moreover, what we want is, we want to apply some styles. Now if we keep on applying the style here, then we'll have to copy and paste it for all of the other navbar items also. So what we'll do is, we'll define a class. So I'll make a class nav link. Let's say, what should we add in our nav link? So nav link actually is an inbuilt bootstrap property. We'll see what it actually does. Let's add it to our tab. Yeah, you can see that the padding has increased a bit. So that's nice. Bootstrap has automatically added the padding for the nav link. It does some more things at the background, but it's not actually visible. The thing which is visible is that the padding has been added. Next, what we want is, on hovering, this should become darker. So let's create our own class on hover dark. Let's go to the styles, and here I'll define a class on hover dark. But we want this class to only be applied when I actually hover over the link. Hovering over means to just place the cursor on the link and not click it. So I'll have to add a hover on hover dark class. Inside that, I want the background color of the background to be darker. I won't keep it completely dark. I'll just make it a darker. So 222 is darker than 333. Also, what I want is the color text of the color to change. So I'll add the color VA, VA, VA. This is a bit darker than ED, ED, ED. So we have added this class. Let's see what happens. You can see if I hover over it, the background color changes. Nice. Also, I would like to tell you about one more property. You can see that the text color is not changing. So how can we change the text color? Let's try this. And yes, the text color is also changing. What I did was, I added an important attribute to color. So there was a CSS class which was already making the link black. So if I added important, then it ensures that if there are multiple classes which are telling that the color should be, the text color should be something, the one with the important would be picked up. Setting this as important says that this color should be black regardless of what other classes are saying. So this is nice. Also, what we would like to do is, if I'm on the home page, then this home button should be white. whereas others should be a bit dark. So I create an active page class with a color of white and a inactive page class with a color of slightly darker. As I have not yet added these classes, I don't see any change. Let's add this class. Okay. So as I have not added the important part, it's getting overridden. Yeah. So now important. Yes. That's how it should look. Also, the inactive page, I will have to add the important tag, and I'll make the changes in the all the navbars visible. One more attribute which the A should have is the href. So I'll set the href as slash, meaning nothing is there when the home page is displayed. If I wanted to go to the profile bar, then I'll just copy and paste it, and here it should be profile. And href, I will keep the profile tag. If I go to let's say github.io/profile, I'll see the profile page. So I'll just click quickly copy paste this code and we have this inside our column Excel6. I have not yet closed it. I'll add another call Excel6 for row or column. Inside that I will text button. The content and the link actually don't have any relation. I can just keep it ugly also. That would have been fine. But this is my personal choice. Also, all of them should not be active pages. Just the home is the active page. All others should be inactive. So I'll just add the inactive class to all of them. Let's see how it looks. Yeah, this is looking really nice now. So let's start going on to making the content. So also you should ensure that this is how it looks on a Chrome browser, but it might look very different on a Firefox browser. So you can see that in a Firefox browser, the entire screen is coming out to be black, whereas in a Chrome browser, only the top bar is the black. We'll get a look at why this is happening later on. As we keep on going, we might find the bug. So next. So we have it. Now let's start making the content of the website. So we'll start by building this part of the website. Later on, we'll add the introduction part. So we have right now created the top navigation bar. What we'll do is we'll create another container for creating the content. So let's start by making another div inside the body container in which there will be a row can see inside the container we have a row, and as we are going to put our content inside of call 8, I'm creating a class called LG8. Next, what I want to do is I want to create a card like this. So let's start by first adding shadow to our container. So what I'll do is I'll add the definition class and then I'll add shadow. So shadow is an inbuilt bootstrap class which will add shadow to our card. Next, this should also be a row. So let's have the row first. It should have shadow. The background should be light. If you don't specify the background, it will be transparent. So we want the background to have some color. Let's say it's light, background light. Moreover, we want some padding on the top or a margin on the top. So let's have a margin top 4 and a margin bottom of 5. And let's also add a margin in the X direction of 1. This is a personal preference. If you don't want, you can ignore it. So now I have added this. Let's put some content and see how it looks. This is how our card is going to look. Let's start adding content to it. It will look nice. You can see the text is very close to the start of the container. We don't want this. So we'll be adding padding to it. But we want the image to be very close. First, we'll add the image without the padding. So we'll add an image here. The name of the image is how these things work. .png. And I'll set the style width property to 100%. Let's see how it looks. Yeah. That is how the image looks. Next, we'll want to add some padding and then some content inside it. So let's create another div which has a padding X of 4, a padding top of 5, and a padding bottom of 4. Having a padding top of 5 would ensure there's a gap between the image and the text. Inside this, let's have a heading. So we want our heading to be H2, and I'll add some project name. Let's see how it looks. Cool. It has started looking really nice. What we'll want to do is we'll want to add a link to this project. Let's see how it's done. So we have H2. I'll add an anchor over this. Now the anchor tag should have href to link. So inside href, I'll put the link to a paper. Let's say I do this. Let's refresh it and see what happens. So you can see a blue color, and when I hover over it, you'll be able to see underline. This means that this is a link. When I click it, the page opens. So the link is working, but we don't want our header to be blue. And when I hover over it, I don't want it to be underlined. So let's create a class which will stop the default actions of the A anchor. I'll create a class which will, let's name it href without decoration. We don't want the decoration on our href. So we need to add this in our own custom CSS. We want two things. We want the color to be black let's add the important. We also want that the text decoration should be none. So let's see if this will work. And yes, the color has changed, but when I'm hovering over it, I'm getting the underline. So I'll add an important here also. And yes, the text decoration has disappeared. Even if I'm hovering over the header, I'm not able to see the underline. And the link is working perfectly. One more thing, which is an important thing to note, when I'm clicking this header, the page opens in the same window. What if I want to open this page in a new window? You can add the target property for this. You have to set the target to blank. This will ensure that the link opens in a new window. You can see the link opened in a new window. So nice, we have the header ready. Also, this does not look like an external link to me. It just looks like a header. If you want to add and if you want to show that this is a link, you can add an icon to it. So I is the tag used for adding an icon. Inside that, if you remember, we imported the font awesome library. So in this library, we have a class named external link. So we have far font awesome external link, and we'll define the size. Let's just see how it looks. So this is how the icon looks, but we want it to be a bit smaller. So I'll set the style as font size from 12 px. And cool, that looks really nice. So I get an idea that this is an external link. Next, I'll be copy pasting some content related to this project. So these are just two p tags. So I have a p tag. Next, I'll be adding a button to it. So I've created a button tag with the type button. I have added all these classes which are found inbuilt in Bootstrap. I'll explain what each individual does. So the button and the button light is for creating this nice looking button with a light background. This button outline dark actually gives it the property. See, so if I remove this class, the outline is gone, and even when I hover over it, the background is light. I add this class, and when I hover over it, the background is black. So this is the CSS property defined in Bootstrap in this class. Now, onClick is something which we learn on in JavaScript, but to give you an idea, we want to define what should happen when button is clicked. So on click, I want the window location to change to, let's say, this link. So I'll set it to this link, and continue reading is the content which is added in the button. I'll refresh it, and now you can see when I click on this window will go to this window. And yeah, this is working. How exactly what this window dot location is, we'll have a look in JavaScript. So that's it. That's how our content would look like. Next, we want to add an introduction about ourselves. If you want to even add more cards, what you can do is you can just create multiple divisions like this. I just now copy paste it. As I refresh it, you'll be able to see there are multiple cards added to this website. So now we like to add an introduction to our web page. We have defined all this content inside the call LG8 class. Now, what we want is to have our introduction in the remaining call LG4 columns. So let's just minimize this call LG8. I've minimized it. Let's add our div class call LG4. Inside this, we first like to have a row. The row should have a padding of 5 in the top direction. In the horizontal direction, it should be 4. These are just my personal choices, so you can ignore them if you don't like them. You can play around it with a bit. I want the content should look have a white background. Then there should be a shadow to this card, and the margin in the X direction should be 1. These are just my personal choices I have tried out, and I like these. Next, inside the row, there should always be a column. So I add a column, and I want the content inside this to be text centered. Now, what I'll do is I'll just copy paste the content here. So I've added an image with the class which has a padding in the bottom of 5 units. I have defined the source of the image to be shown. I have set the width to 100%. I can remove this and define this in directly in CSS. Next, I have added the paragraph inside which I have used the break tag to add new lines. So this is the content. Let's see how it looks. Yeah. So our introduction has also been added. If you want to add a contact us card, you can do the same thing as we did before. You can just copy paste the row inside the column. So now we have 2 rows. You can see there is no margin in between them. Let's add a margin top of 5. You can see there's a margin now, and I don't want my photo. Maybe I want just links to my accounts like this, for my Gmail ID, and so on. So let's just add it here. Instead of class all, I'll add this. So I have a contact information and a paragraph inside which I have the anchor tags for the links. The strong tag actually makes the text bold, and that's it. I've added multiple break lines to add new lines to the contact information. So that's it. You have your own home page ready. I haven't yet defined the profile page or the research page or latest page, but if you have a good grasp on how this was made, you can just copy paste the code, change the name from let's say realtime.html to profile.html, resource.html. Make the changes in the web page, and when you click on these, you'll be able to see the research page. Mind you, you won't be able to see if you are viewing this on a local platform, but if you put the code on GitHub, like I have done in this case, if I press the profile, then slash profile in the URL is displayed, and the profile.html file, which is present in the Git repository, is open. So if you want, let's say, create this, you can see there's a padding, and this is just an image, which also has a shadow applied to it, which gives it the look that this image is coming out. I have added a button which has the Bootstrap class button outlined dark, and this PDF button actually just links to my PDF version of the resume. So you can create a profile. We have been doing some research, or let's say you have some projects, you can add them here, and that's how you can display it. So that is it. You can now create your own homepage. Try it out. We'll have a doubt session where you can clear your doubts which you face while building your own homepage. This is the end of session 1. In this session, we have learned about HTML, CSS, and Bootstrap. We have learned about Bootstrap grids and how to create your own website. The important links will be provided to you in the description. Looking forward to having you in the next session. Now we will have a lunch break for 1 hour, and we'll resume at 2 p.m. sharp.